Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And when we have a lot of active price action, this is a time where charts are very interesting. And you know that I'm not really a very big chart reader. I don't feel like I have the skill set to do that, but I do like to listen to people who do make it part of their expertise. But I will tell you that when you see these side-by-side candles that have these long wicks, this is really indicative when we have the fast price movement, and it gives us this great insight to the buyers and the sellers with this strong pressure going at the same time. You can see this extended wick here down where the sellers have pushed it down, but then we've got these buyers pushing it right back up again. It's very, very exciting. And in addition to looking at charts, which these candlestick charts, by the way, were invented in Japan in the 1600s for rice traders, there is also the sentiment tools. And in this video, I have a treat for you. I have a treat, especially if you're an XRP holder, because I invited Brian from the company Santiment to share with us some of his tools that they offer on their paid membership analytics platform for cryptocurrencies. And you're going to get to see some of these things for free. And they do it by sourcing on-chain, social and unique development tools to spot these trends and look at price, look at the behavior, what's driving it. And it's very often driven by this crowd psychology, which really makes this space difficult, in my opinion, to read. And you can follow this company Santiment on Twitter. Here they are here. They do have a Black Friday special. And this video was purely for my interest only. And I thought it would be fun to share with you. It is not a paid promotion. It's not a sponsored video. I did talk to him for about 38 minutes this morning. The Patreons were able to see the full video, but I pulled out some really good nuggets to share with everyone. You're going to see how GitHub is one of those tools that you can really tell if there is some active development or if there is near abandonment of a project. And if you look at the XRP ledger, which we'll do in this particular case, and he does compare it to Ethereum, the XRP ledger is really active. It's noisy, as he says, and you want to see a very noisy pattern. For the people who are still confusing the digital asset XRP with the company Ripple, yeah, Brian still does. But that's just ignore that, because so many people are still confused and mix those two up interchangeably. I mean, even CNBC is still doing it, and you would think those guys would not make that error with the kind of money they get paid. But we're also going to take a look at an XRP trend for social volume. It's really, really interesting. And also the positive talk versus the negative talk out there, and even a little peek at a special tool that was designed by Willy Woo. And if you are following any of the BTC chart readers, I think you know who Willy Woo is. All right, so let's first just take a look here at this GitHub commit, which really is something you should look at if you're considering going after a project, because, well, you'll hear that there are some projects that have gone very quiet. But let's take a look at the ledger. Does this mean, like, when someone makes a commit on GitHub?
That's exactly right. So yeah, it's a commit on GitHub while filtering for more mundane tasks that we have an algorithm to intentionally exclude.
Because if you have a project and there maybe hasn't been a commit for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, then that should be a warning sign, if you will, that the project is not nearing going dark, but it looks pretty bad.
if nobody's working on the project. Okay.
And I won't name names in terms of what projects are like that, but I do encourage you guys to actually look up many of the projects that are in the top 100 that actually look exactly like what Eddie just described, wherein they used to have a lot of development, but during the months that prices were going down, around like early September, for example, there were many projects that kind of just went AFK and did not do a lot of GitHub commits at all. So obviously with Ripple right here, looking at this purple line, we can see that wasn't the case at all. And if we actually go back,
I see. Yeah, because I was just on, David just did an update yesterday, and I was on GitHub trying to understand what he did, which I couldn't read it all, but I was just on his update, and so obviously it's showing up on here in a purple metric, right?
Right. This is the last 3 years of development activity, and obviously there's a lot of noise. We could actually go here. This one actually doesn't have trend lines, but a lot of metrics that we have, and I'll show you in a moment, you actually can add a trend line to start kind of remove the noise and just see like the progression over time. And obviously, if I could draw a line, it would look something like this with my mouse, right? Because compared to about 18 months ago, for example, the summer of 2019,
yes,
we were only getting about 3 to 5 submits a day for Ripple. But if we look at where we're at now, and this happened before the rise, so this development activity was a really clear sign that the project from inside of Ripple's headquarters, so to speak, were really starting to commit at a much higher frequency.
Yeah. And, I'm going to guess, too, that there is also the tracking of people who are building on top of the XRP ledger in this. And that wasn't, I asked him if it was so, and he wasn't sure if they could break out the difference. But I think for sure there is this noise appearing from lots of projects, like Spend the Bits, for example, that is building on top of the XRP ledger. This is going to give more noise, if you will. Okay, so let's go on and take a look at this social volume chart. This is interesting.
This social volume often correlates with local tops. And I don't want to say that to scare anyone, because right now, if I were to zoom in here a little, you can see that social volume actually had a massive burst when Ripple exploded to, it looked like a top of around, I think it was a little over 76, but this is more compressed data, so it's only showing groups of intervals at a time right now. You can change that with our metric, granularity, etc. But social volume tends to go up when prices go up. That makes perfect sense. People want to FOMO in. People get excited when prices make a new local high or something, some sort of price that hasn't been seen for a long period of time, as we're coincidentally in as we speak right now with Ripple. I think making something like a 30-month high recently.
So these socials is Twitter, and do you include things like Discord and Instagram and Facebook and all of those, or what?
We sure do.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have two different ways of looking at it, actually. You can look at it in terms of the social volume chart here, or you can actually go to the top here and go over to a tool called Sand Trends. And this is really cool. It's going to show what the top 10 most discussed subjects/assets are over the last 3 hours, 2 hours, or 1 hour. And as you can see, Ripple is topping the charts for all three because of the fact that it's had such a massive bull run, almost out of nowhere. Some of you may have known this was going to come, but I certainly didn't.
So little Ethereum, a little bit of Coinbase, a lot of XRP, some Ripple discussion,
and ATH, which is a common subject because many assets out there are in the process of either making an all-time high or they already have. So whether it's attributed to one project or many, it's going to be a subject that's going to be discussed a lot.
Yeah, well, so, it just went over 600, so it's pretty big. And Coinbase has had problems going down again, so I would imagine a lot of the chatter is about Coinbase going down. And I think also Coinbase is going to stop their leverage trade option. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's just this morning's news, and I would imagine that's going to have a lot of people chattering about that.
Okay, and then let's go and look at this next portion where XRP explodes in discussion.
But you can look at it over here as well and see the social volume that we saw in that larger chart.
Huge.
And really see just how massive the discussion is related to it.
Yeah.
I actually made a post a couple hours ago on our Santiment feed Twitter, which I encourage you guys to check out. And it explained how, for the first time in 7 months, we're on the cusp of seeing Ripple being discussed more often than Ethereum on the same axis. No adjustments needed. There is simply more discussion about Ripple right now than Ethereum, or at least very close to it. And I can use compare here to really show that. And it's hard to see because there's so many bars here. But if I were to go to like just the last week, you can really see that even though they're on different axes, Ripple was in blue here, but look how it just exploded right there. And you can compare directly. So very interesting there. You can even, I'll take off Ethereum here for a minute, but we have this lever called social dominance, which will allow, after it loads, there we go, it'll show the actual percentage of all crypto terms that are attributed to Ripple right now. So this is not just social volume over time. This is, if I highlight this spike here and you look at the top left of the chart, almost 7% of all crypto-related discussions have XRP in that discussion, which is a massive, massive number when you look at something like back here when it was at 0.14, 0.08%.
Yes.
Just absolutely erupting numbers right now.
Wow. Yeah,
so really interesting here.
It's
fun to see that we're talking about Ripple during arguably its most prominent time in maybe 3 years right now, guys. This is cool to really show off.
Yeah, it's a good project to show these tools for sure.
Okay, let's take now a look at the positive versus negative discussion with XRP.
A little bit more. This is another interesting thing I've been seeing about Ripple. What we're looking at here is an algorithm that we developed that essentially multiplies the amount of discussion going on. So the social volume that we just looked at, it multiplies that by the ratio between positive and negative commentary. And we have an algorithm to sort of make an estimation on how positive that comment is, whether it's on Twitter, Reddit, Discord, etc., is compared to the norm. So like, for example, if someone says Ripple is going to the moon, there's a small chance that could be, it could be sarcasm in very small, circles. Obviously, Ripple can be polarizing, and sometimes people will say that in jest. But overall, we can be pretty confident that that's going to be a positive comment, and that would go under a positive comment ratio, which is tracked right up here. And the green line here is the amount of positive comments made over time. The red are the negative tracked comments. So
what
obviously
would be a
right
negative
now,
comment
something like, I think for Ripple, oftentimes it gets criticism for being associated with like centralized banks. So if someone said Ripple isn't real crypto or something like that, which you and I know isn't true.
Yeah.
But if someone says that, our algorithm would track
like a scam coin or something.
Exactly. So basically, we're seeing both the positive and negative commentary going way up right now because price has skyrocketed, and that is causing it to have a lot of polarization. But overall, the positives are going up much faster, which is why we see this. And this is basically showing that there's a lot more social volume than usual, along with much more positive commentary than negative commentary. and it's the highest we've been since late September, which actually is not that long, surprisingly. But this time around, it's coming at the time of a huge price swing. And generally speaking, this actually can be a sign of a local top, but it can be a very short-term local top. So it has to be taken with a grain of salt. By the way, this is September 2019. That makes a lot more sense, not September 2020.
Right.
So sorry for that error. Either way, I can tell you that usually when social volume gets too high, it's a sign of euphoria taking place. And we generally want to see things a little more down here, because when there's doubt, like we saw back right after Black Thursday here in mid-March, that's when prices tend to bounce. And we saw this pretty universally. Everything was in the negative right after, the pandemic news came out. There was a lot of fear, not just in crypto, but all markets. And that caused a lot of negativity to go on. That essentially, was something we could have seen and told people, this is the time you want to buy. When you see people doubting that cryptocurrency is something that can actually be used that has monetary value, or used as an alternate to fiat, that's the time when you really want to buy in, because anyone here watching this channel with myself and Eddie probably knows that cryptocurrency is something that is pretty revolutionary and inevitably going to change the world for the better. And when you see people fudding out of it, that's the time you want to buy in. Vice versa, when you have a lot of FOMO, that's the time you may want to take a little bit of profit
off the table.
Exactly. And I, by the way, this is not investment advice.
No. And everyone knows that we're totally looking at metrics that track to lots and lots of people who are in even the traditional markets talk this same narrative. So we're not giving advice. Yeah,
exactly. But historically, we look at these kind of metrics as a way to give context to what's happening in the markets at any given time. And this is just one of many metrics. Everything we've looked at so far, they work best when it's all supplementary. So we've already looked at some metrics that are bullish, some are bearish, and the savviest traders in our community are the ones who are putting them all together and deciding, what is the most realistic scenario to occur next. And this is one of my favorite, the social sentiment, that really shows what the volume combined with that positive versus negative ratio of commentary is looking like at any given time.
I like that one a lot. All right, let's have a peek. This is the last one. We'll have a peek at this chart that was developed with the collaboration with Willy Woo. And let's have just a quick listen to this 3 minutes.
One more. I'm really into it because I love these kind of tools. I love these tools.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and by the way, anyone who is interested can get a 2-week trial on https://santiment.net. You can basically just put in your email. You'll have 2 weeks unlocked, and you can look at all the models we're looking at. Even if you're a free member, you can still look at these charts in limited capacity. A model like we're looking at now, this is exclusive to our pro members, and it's $45 per month. We'll actually be announcing a Black Friday sale soon. So if you're interested in half off for however many months you'd like to purchase, you'll see that up on our Twitter in just a couple of days.
And just so everybody knows, this is not a sponsored video. I only brought you on because I personally love Santiment Tools. And I know that Santiment is one of the ones that have some of the best out there. So this is purely out of my curiosity. So I wanted to thank you so much, Brian. And you and I are not necessarily have any monetary agreement or anything on this. I just invited you on. So thank you so much. I just want to make that clear. Yeah,
thanks for clarifying that. That's very important to note. But what we're looking at here is our NBT price comparison model. And what this does is it uses trend lines, which we can see up here. These trend lines are 6-month, 11-month, 16-month, and all-time trend lines for a metric known as NBT. This was initially invented by Willy Woo, who many of you are familiar with.
I know Willy. Yeah, he's an amazing chart guy.
Yeah, great guy overall too. I've had the pleasure of speaking with him. Awesome person to follow.
Super smart.
Yeah, but this essentially is a calculation that divides the amount the market cap at any given time. These bars are all entire months, so keep that in mind. So it's taking the average market cap of any given month and dividing it by the average token circulation, which is the amount of unique tokens that are being transacted from address to address over a given time. And when you divide those two together, you get a number where the higher the token circulation is compared to market cap,
the color
lower
changes.
Right, the lower / better the bar is. So we want low bars, and when they are below these trend lines here, that's when you'll get a bullish green signal like we're seeing right now. You can even see hash marks to signify what the last few days have looked like, so you have a recent idea of how things look. But overall, this model has done a pretty decent job of predicting where Ripple's price would go next. When it gets a little more orange, we're
yeah, so that was really fun to see that particular custom tool and to see how they worked with Willy Woo to connect the dots for price trending. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I just love this stuff, and so I just wanted to share with you a couple of those quick portions out of the video. And now I am going to just jump to the fluff for you. Somebody asked me in the live stream what it was I was watching, because I said I was watching a Korean drama, and I'm watching this Korean drama. It's called Crash Landing on You, just in case. And yes, it is on Netflix. And I did want to show you the picture of the little baby boy panda that was born on Sunday. He is, I mean, you know, in a I don't know if you can call him cute, but I think he's cute. He looks hungry. Look how big that nose is for just being 1 day old. This was taken on the day he was born. He is down in the western part of Japan in Shirohama, which is in Wakayama Prefecture. So they have a really successful breeding program there. I just look at that tail too. That's so long, don't you think? Wow, I don't know. I just think it's pretty amazing that that little one is going to grow up to be so big. So I got the request, in addition, to do a video fluff on tea. So that is what I'm going to do for you. And tea is really a fun topic here. This is the tea fields of Shizuoka. And this is, of course, Mount Fuji with snow blowing off the top. What a beautiful, beautiful. This is definitely, what day of the year would this be? You know, with the blue sky as it is and the amount of snow on top, it's got to be in, yeah, and everything looks so lush and green. It must be a spring shot. That's what my guess is going to be. And these are tea pickers wearing very traditional clothing that is used. It dates back all the way to the Edo period. So it's very, I think it's a very nice shot, in my opinion, to see that this is still being worn. And there are so many different varieties of green tea. And what we're going to talk about is this one here, which is called matcha. Matcha is a tea that is all ground up and used in the tea ceremony here in Japan. It's my favorite. I'm not a big infusion tea drinker, but when it comes to matcha, that's different for me. I absolutely love it. And it is best when it's prepared for you by a tea master. And there is a tea master in Japan who is originally from Canada. How about that? He is Randall Chanel Soe. Soe is his given name from his grandmaster, and So meaning part of the way to do things, and A is his name. So originally he came to this country to study martial arts, but has found his way to tea. And tea is considered a sojo bijutsu, which is one of the comprehensive arts, and that falls into the category along with calligraphy, woodwork, lacquerware, ironwork, even construction of tools that are made of bamboo. The list goes on and on. But for being a master of tea and being foreign born, he is kind of a rock star in Kyoto. And he is one that has also written a book. And when you are participating in this way of tea or tea ceremony, sometimes called chanoyu, sometimes called sado, there's different ways to call it. I think in the West, everybody knows it as tea ceremony, but you do it in, you would think, silence, but actually it's not so silent, because what you do is you focus on the sound of the boiling water, and you can focus on the sound of the kimono as it moves across the tatami floor. And then, of course, when the whisk is mixing the matcha, you're observing all of this in silence, but your senses are heightened by focusing on those sounds. So it is part of the tea ceremony to actually focus on the sounds that occur in the silence. It's very much part of the whole experience. Here he is doing the whisking in the chawan, which is the ceramic cup that you drink the matcha tea in. This is actually a lacquerware where the matcha is stored. This to his left is where the water is taken from, the boiling water is taken from. Yeah, it's pretty special. You can experience this in Kyoto with his instruction at a place called Ran Hote. And yeah, you can see he gives a lot of lectures. He has written a book, and he has a lot of respect from the Japanese community because he has reached this level of what's called Master of Tea. So you can experience the way of tea at this Ran Hote. If you remember, it's in Kyoto. I have not gone. I definitely want to go. And you are going to learn the elements of harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. That is what he says you can achieve in experiencing the tea ceremony. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.